Thursday, November 29, Unity in Mission. Contrast the mood of the disciples during the Lord's Supper in Luke 22, verse 24, with the one they had shortly before the Pentecost experience in Acts chapter 1, verses 14 and chapter 2, verses 1 and 46. What made such a difference in their lives? First of all, we read Acts chapter 22 and verse 24. Now there was also a dispute among them as to which of them should be considered the greatest. And Acts chapter 1 verse 14 reads, These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary the mother of Jesus and with his brothers. And Acts chapter 2 verse 1. When the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And Acts chapter 2 and verse 46, So continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. In Acts chapter 1 verse 14 and Acts chapter 2 verse 46, the phrase with one accord also means persevered with one mind. This came as a result of their being together in one place, seeking in prayer the fulfillment of Jesus' promise to send them the Comforter. As they waited, it would have been easy for them to begin to criticize one another. Some could have pointed to Peter's denial of Jesus in John chapter 18, verses 15 to 18 and 25 to 27, and to Thomas's doubting Jesus' resurrection in John 20:25. They could have remembered John and James's request to receive the most powerful positions in Jesus' kingdom in Mark chapter 10, verses 35 to 41, or that Matthew was a former despised tax collector in Matthew 9, verse 9. However, as it says in the Acts of the Apostles, page 37, these days of preparation were days of deep heart-searching. The disciples felt their spiritual need and cried to the Lord for the holy unction that was to fit them for the work of soul saving. They did not ask for a blessing for themselves merely. They were weighted with the burden of the salvation of souls. They realized that the gospel was to be carried to the world, and they claimed the power that Christ had promised. End of quote. The fellowship between the disciples and the intensity of their prayers prepared them for this momentous experience at Pentecost. As they drew nearer to God and put aside their personal differences, the disciples were prepared by the Holy Spirit to become the fearless and bold witnesses of the resurrection of Jesus. They knew Jesus had forgiven their many shortcomings, and this gave them courage to press on ahead. They knew what Jesus had done for them in their lives. They knew the promise of salvation found in him, and thus, on page 48 of the Acts of the Apostles, ambition of the believers was to reveal the likeness of Christ's character and to labour for the enlargement of his kingdom. End of quote. No wonder the Lord was able to do powerful things through them. What a lesson for us as a church today. And so to finish today, it's always so easy to find things in other people's lives that are wrong. How can we learn to put aside the mistakes of others, all for the greater cause of doing God's will in a united church?